It's been a big second day in Milwaukee at the Republican National Convention. Many of you would have been watching highlights during the day. A lot of heavyweights endorsed Donald Trump, who again made a grand entrance but didn't speak. One man who did speak is the Majority House Leader, Steve Scalise, who was nearly killed by a left-wing extremist at a charity baseball game in 2017.
Many of you know I was the survivor of a politically motivated shooting in 2017. Not many know that while I was fighting for my life, Donald Trump was one of the first to come console my family at the hospital.
As you know, our own Annelise Nielsen is in Milwaukee, and I asked her to give us a sense of day two.
Look, it was an absolute rapturous applause when he came in again, but it was a slightly different vibe in the room from when he was first seen after that assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, because people were quite emotional, and I didn't even realise just how emotional Donald Trump was until I watched it back and saw that he was tearing up in that vision. And so today had more of a celebratory atmosphere, and for all our coverage, for all our saying this, it's not that we're fangirling or we're part of the rah-rah of the event. It's the fact that there was any chance this wouldn't be like that, and there's any chance that the Democrat convention is going to be bitterly divided, that people are going to be depressed in the room. So that is the genuine sense we're getting here, is that people feel like they're excited. Everything's come together after years of turmoil. Most of the legal cases against Donald Trump have fallen by the wayside, that they now are looking at potentially winning, and everyone likes a winner, especially in America. So the idea here that everyone feels like that they're close to getting the White House back, there is a real mood of celebration.
Yeah, I think that's great analysis. I saw your analysis yesterday too, Annelise, about the way that the assassination attempt has helped to unify the Republican Party. There's no doubt there are a lot of Trump skeptics in the Republican Party. A lot of them have fallen by the wayside or been converted. And that's really been a central theme of what we've seen at the convention today, hasn't it? The former Republican primary opponents of Donald Trump lining up to endorse him, and none more important, of course, than Nikki Haley. Have a look at this.
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period. I'm here tonight because we have a country to save. And a unified Republican Party is essential for saving her.
Yeah, Annelise, Nikki Haley might not have been the most popular speaker at the convention, but I thought her message was probably very important for people watching at home, for swinging voters, if you like, because she said you don't have to agree with Donald Trump on everything to support him in this race.
Look, that's exactly right. And the thing is that she spent her campaign saying it's time for change, that chaos follows Trump wherever he goes and we need something fresh. But now we have the hard, cold political calculation of you have two choices, or three if you want to vote for RFK Jr., which both sides are trying to talk down as an option. So when she was making this speech, it was very much the idea that you can have criticized Donald Trump, you don't have to like the guy, you don't have to feel guilty for voting for him. And when she's talking to those voters that Donald Trump might have alienated in the past, especially some of the criticism I hear from people who like Donald Trump and vote for him, is they say, I hate the way he talks on Twitter, I wish he would just shut his mouth a bit more and get on with the job, because they like his policies and they like what he actually did. So she's talking to all of those voters, and obviously Donald Trump realizes there's a value in that too, because he welcomed her on the stage. He just as easily could have never extended that invitation. And I think this again shows that we're dealing with a different Donald Trump than we had the first time around. This is politician Trump. This is the Trump who knew that he was better off not saying anything in the debate with Joe Biden and letting that play out, rather than jumping in and steamrolling him and making it all about Donald. That's a very different guy than we saw go down the golden escalator before the 2016 election.
Yeah, there's a sense that he senses the electorate is coming to him and he needs to welcome voters rather than to agitate and polarise to drive people to him. It's fascinating to watch. Another important speaker today was another former Republican primary candidate, as is Vivek Ramaswamy. And his speech really focused on some of those key policy areas the Republicans are really driving home, like the war on identity politics and also the strong stand on immigration. Here's a bit of Ramaswamy.
We believe in merit, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. It means we believe in the rule of law, and I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will seal the southern border on day one.
Vivek Ramaswamy there, Annelise. Give us your sense, Annelise, of the way this convention is trying to define these major policy battles in the election campaign.
Look, they're focusing on the things that voters are concerned about, but the reality is Donald Trump will do what Donald Trump wants to do. There's been a lot of people trying to influence the policy of the potential Trump administration and take credit. I mean, if you look at this Project 2025, which was put together by the Heritage Foundation, a very influential right-wing think tank in Washington, D.C., it's just a bit ambitious to say I'm going to do the blueprint and show you what I'm going to do in a Trump administration when it's up to Trump. It's a bit like me redoing our TV lineup and telling the CEO, oh, I'm the star now and we're going to do it this way. Like, that's nice, but the boss will make the call. So it's become a real focal point for people criticising the potential Trump administration or voting for Trump again. They're saying that this Project 2025 is going to be a disaster and something to be terrified of. But Trump's already dropped it, saying, I have nothing to do with it in a Truth Social post. And I do think that's true. I think he'll do whatever he likes. So this is a lot of what is being put together in this convention.
Yeah, this Project 2025 is essentially like think tanks putting up a wish list. It's like saying in Australia that the Labor Party is going to do everything the Australia Institute says. It is a bit of a furphy, although those policies have got to be looked at. Just let's go to the incumbent president, Joe Biden, who's been trying to do some media, trying to do some rallies, trying to recover to some degree. But if people are expecting the Democrats to pull back, to realise that the toxicity of their attacks on Donald Trump, their demonising of Donald Trump isn't working, well, it doesn't seem that he's in any mood to pull back. Here's Joe Biden.
Just because we must lower the temperature in our politics and relate to violence, it doesn't mean we should stop telling the truth. Who you are, what you've done, what you'll do, that's fair game.
Yeah, well, decoding that, Annelise, is he says they're going to keep demonising, attacking Donald Trump. They've done it for 4 years, 8 years, really. I suppose it's too late for them to change tack.
Well, I mean, it worked. It worked in 2020, but the problem is the calculation's just very different. And when Joe Biden is digging his heels in, it's just making it that much harder for everyone else around him. And the closer they get to the DNC, the Democrat National Convention, just the less they can do. So this is really coming down to the wire for any opportunity, and they're obviously enjoying the fact that the media spotlight's gone off them while there's been this complete shift of focus, of course, because the attempted assassination of Donald Trump and then the RNC was always going to be a bit of a breather for them. But the reality is it's going to bite eventually. US is a non-compulsory voting system, and people don't tend to get out to vote if they're unenthusiastic. It's a killer. They tend to get out if they're excited for a candidate, or they're scared of something, or they're a very specific issue voter. But to have kind of an uninspiring candidate, and they're just going to keep playing all of Joe Biden's gaffes every time he goes out now. It's all we do is watch for what he's going to mess up next. And so that's, I mean, and don't forget, there's another debate on the books too. We're supposed to have another debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It's going to be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, that's not till September. There might be a new candidate for the Democrats by then. We will see. Thanks so much for joining us, Annelise. Really appreciate it. Lots more to come in the next couple of days.
Thanks, Chris.